Darius was no stranger to fights. He had spent years in the ring, fists flying, with crowds chanting his name. But those fights were about glory, about proving he was the strongest. This one, though, was different. This wasn't for medals or trophies. This was about protecting his community, the place he called home. The neighborhood had been his safe haven once, but now it was scarred. Shops were vandalized, streets were quiet, and fear hung heavy in the air. Darius couldn't just stand by and watch anymore. When the gang came that night, threatening Victor's barbershop, Darius stepped forward. The fight wasn't just physical, it was about standing up for something bigger than himself. When the dust settled, bruised and battered, Darius stood tall. The gang was gone, and the neighborhood had seen something they hadn't in years: hope. But Darius didn't see himself as a hero. He wasn't looking for applause or thanks. For him, it was simple: someone needed to act, and he was the one who could. Jerome had always been the glue that held the neighborhood together. He wasn't loud or flashy, but he was dependable. The kind of person everyone knew they could count on. His barber shop wasn't just a place for haircuts, it was where people gathered to talk, laugh, and share their struggles. For years, Jerome had watched the neighborhood change, slowly slipping under the shadow of fear. The gang's threats weren't just aimed at his shop, they were aimed at everything the community stood for. When the gang came for his shop that night, Jerome felt the weight of it all. His livelihood, his legacy, it was all on the line. But then Darius stepped in. Watching Darius fight back lit a spark in Jerome he hadn't felt in years. After the chaos settled, Jerome didn't waste time. He rallied the neighborhood, organizing everyone to rebuild what the gang had tried to destroy. Jerome wasn't just fixing a shop, he was showing everyone that the power to stand up was still within them. Ethan was the kind of person who thrived on power and control. From a young age, he learned how to manipulate and intimidate, rising quickly to lead the gang that everyone in the neighborhood feared. To him, it wasn't just about money or respect, it was about domination. He loved the way people froze when they heard his name, the way shop owners scrambled to meet his demands. Ethan didn't see the people in the neighborhood as human. To him, they were obstacles or tools, nothing more. But when he targeted Jerome's barber shop, Ethan underestimated the strength of the community and the determination of one man, Darius. Watching Darius stand up against him shook Ethan in a way he hadn't expected. It was a challenge he wasn't used to, and for the first time, cracks began to show in his image of untouchable power. Ethan's grip on the gang started slipping, and his own arrogance became his downfall. Jerome was more than just a barber. He was the heart of the neighborhood. His shop wasn't just a place where people came for a haircut, it was where they came to laugh, share stories, and feel like they belong. Jerome had spent years building that sense of community, and he took pride in the trust people placed in him. But when Ethan's gang started making threats and demanding money, Jerome's confidence was shaken. He didn't want to put anyone in danger, but he also couldn't stand by and watch the place he loved get destroyed. Despite his fear, Jerome found strength in the people around him. He wasn't a fighter like Darius, but his courage showed in different ways. He kept the shop open even when the threats grew worse, showing the community that he wouldn't let fear win. And when Darius stood up to Ethan, Jerome became the voice of reason and unity, reminding everyone that together, they could rebuild what the gang tried to tear down. Tyrone had always been a quiet presence in the neighborhood, known for his skill with tools and his willingness to lend a hand whenever someone needed it. He wasn't one to draw attention to himself, but when the barber shop fell into disrepair after the gang's rampage, Tyrone stepped up. He didn't just fix things, he brought people together through his actions. With a hammer in one hand and a level-headed attitude, Tyrone became the go-to person for rebuilding the shop. He coordinated teams of volunteers, showing them how to repair broken shelves, replace shattered glass, and rebuild walls. His calm leadership inspired others to pitch in, no matter their skill level. Tyrone believed that working with your hands could heal more than just physical damage, it could mend the bonds of a community. 2. Though he preferred to stay out of the spotlight, Tyrone's efforts didn't go unnoticed. People admired his determination and appreciated how he made everyone feel like their contributions mattered. Whether it was teaching kids how to sand down a bench or offering words of encouragement to those struggling with the work, Tyrone became a symbol of resilience and quiet strength. Malik was the storyteller of the neighborhood, the kind of person who could captivate a crowd with nothing more than his words. He had a talent for making even the simplest events sound extraordinary, weaving tales that made people laugh, gasp, or reflect. When the barber shop became the center of the community's effort to rebuild, Malik found his role. Armed with a paintbrush, he joined the kids in transforming the battered walls into vibrant works of art. As they painted, Malik kept them entertained with thrilling stories, some of which were true and others that had a touch of his signature exaggeration. The children hung on his every word, laughing at his jokes and asking him to repeat their favorite parts. Malik knew how to turn hard work into fun, and his energy made even the most tiring tasks feel like an adventure. But Malik wasn't just there to entertain. He used his stories to teach the kids important lessons about resilience and hope. He talked about how the community had faced challenges before and always come out stronger, planting seeds of pride and determination in their hearts. To the kids, Malik wasn't just a storyteller, he was a mentor and a friend.